progress with North Korea, the communist country putting its missile testing on hold, and the president tweeting, "This is very good news for North Korea and the world. Big progress."
Look, there's no question this is unprecedented. You have to have that iron fist in a velvet glove, and guess what? It's worked. It's brought Kim to the table.
The DNC yesterday decided to sue the Trump campaign, sue Russia, and sue WikiLeaks.
To come and make up these excuses about why Democrats lost, I think is pathetic. They had a bad message. They had a bad candidate. They're the ones that colluded with the Russians.
James Comey officially now under investigation.
Comey is a leaker. We know that he leaked information and laundered it through a law professor, which is certainly not something any former head of the FBI should do.
It looks like I will not be able to be home for your birthday, so I hope this makes up for me not coming home. Daddy!
That's how we do things on this show. Fox and Friends. On the weekend, we go big. We go home.
That's how we roll.
And that's why you guys are always invited
Yeah,
back.
we're here.
You both go big.
We're going big. We're going big, especially this hour. Next hour, can't guarantee, but this hour,
Yeah,
huge.
going big. Well, happy Saturday morning to all of you. It is great to be with you.
You know what's
and
also growing and really big right now?
Oh, stop it.
Todd's fan
Oh,
club.
come on.
Apparently,
I don't
there's a
know if
group
this
of
would be here.
people in Jupiter, Florida. You see them right there. They hold up pictures of Todd. They post them on social media.
right.
And they're known, I think, as pyromaniacs.
Hold on. I can
it kinda
count
makes
them.
sense.
1, 2, 3. You've got 5 fans.
And these are the only 5 fans I have that aren't named Pyro. I mean, these are not my family members. They're the only non-family members I have. So thank you, friends in Jupiter.
I love that. You look really good in that photo, too.
For the rest of the country, if you can also find 2 people who are interested
Yeah,
in
if
me,
we
I'll
can-
send you headshots.
If there's anyone out there who's a fan of Todd, email.
I feel like there's going to be
friends
like
at
an X coming up from audio, like.
We're trying to expand the pyromaniacs.
Actually, I want to see how high we can get this morning. So we're at 5.
Can we hit 12?
Can we get 12? Can we get
Let's see.
15? Give me 15
Can we
fans.
hit 12?
Friends at foxnews.com. If you are a fan of Todd Pyro, all right. I
We
love
got
that.
a lot of serious news as well. It's fun making fun of me, but there's a lot of serious stuff.
And we do want to start with
Going
that
on.
Fox News alert because it is the start of the deal. North Korea suspending their missile testing, closing nuclear tests as President Trump touts big progress.
Yeah,
Here is what he tweeted directly about that, Ed.
The president saying North Korea has agreed to suspend all nuclear tests and close up a major test site. This is very good news for North Korea and the world. Big progress. Look forward to our summit. A message from Kim Jong-un, quote, North Korea will stop nuclear tests and launches of intercontinental ballistic missiles. Also, they're going to shut down a nuclear test site in the country's northern side to prove the vow to suspend nuclear tests. Progress being made for all. If you think, Todd, about where we were 6, 8, 10 months ago when the president was taking on Kim Jong-un, giving him nicknames,
And getting
talking about
criticized for all
fire
of
and
that.
fury, and people saying he's bringing us to the brink of nuclear war. In fact, it looks like the president is bringing us to the brink of peace.
Let's just set the stage here as to exactly what happened. Remember, over the course of the Easter weekend, Mike Pompeo, currently the CIA director, up for Secretary of State, went over there. They had a meeting. My guess is that sometime during that meeting, a little force was shown, and now you have a situation where North Korea is doing 2 things. The president summed it up fairly well. 1, going to hold off on ballistic missiles starting today, and 2, one of their major nuclear areas where they were generating a lot of nuclear material is going to be shut down. Keep in mind, though, this was the same area that didn't have such a stellar record following the hydrogen bomb test. It was severely damaged in that bomb test. So let's not spike the football just yet. We can't necessarily say that this facility could be used, but let's take it as a positive that they are deciding to shut it down for now.
And this is big news, and this is good news, as we've been hearing from a lot of experts on this, for President Trump, but most importantly, for the world, because this is an example of potentially diplomacy working out and using direct engagement and tough talk to make that progress.
In fact, retired General Jack Keane said on Fox last night with Shannon Bream, was basically saying that this, if it works, and you still have to be skeptical, there's still a lot more hard work to be done. General Keane says this would be the biggest diplomatic achievement since the Marshall Plan during World War II. That is huge.
That's a big deal.
Big stakes. But think about last year when all of the president's critics lined up and said, he's leading us to nuclear war. Watch how ridiculous it got.
Tweets like this essentially pour gasoline on that blaze. President Trump is goading Kim Jong-un to test a nuclear missile.
I do worry about what his boiling point might be in the face of some of these inflammatory tweets and statements that the president makes.
This is just how the snowball effect starts. Wars are very easy to get into, and it gets nasty really quickly.
None of this normal, none of this acceptable, none of this, frankly, stable behavior.
Well, here we are, and North Korea has announced that it is freezing its nuclear program. We will see how it plays out, but President Trump says that they are still moving forward to meet with President Kim Jong-un. As you said, most recently, Mike Pompeo was over there. So things have been going on over the past 6 months or so to get to this point right here. It's a win for the world, as I said, but also North Korea sees it as a win for them, because if you heard Kim Jong-un speaking to his party yesterday, he has now succeeded in exactly what his dad and his granddad wanted. They have now built up their nuclear program. They can hang with the big boys on the nuke stage, right? But also open up to the Western world.
You're right, but think about James Clapper, who was there in that montage, who was President Obama's director of national intelligence, and back in October, not that long ago, was saying, this is going to be a disaster. This can't possibly work.
So what do they say now? I would love to hear all of those folks in that montage react to this. We had Jim Henson on the show this morning.
This guy really knows what he's talking about. He explained how this is a real big win for Trump policies going forward.
It's huge. I mean, there's no question this is unprecedented. The bottom line is, no one was expecting anything good to come of President Trump's fiery rhetoric, except people who understand that diplomacy works better with a credible threat of military force backing it up. That's the reality. You have to have that iron fist in a velvet glove, and guess what? It's worked. It's brought Kim to the table in ways none of President Trump's predecessors were able to do. This is a win for President Trump's policies.
Let's sum it up. Decades of no progress, 1 year, less than a year, progress.
Yeah, well, we will see how all of this plays out. But I think whether you're Republican or Democrat, you've got to say this could potentially be very good for everyone involved, because no one wants to go to war with North Korea. And that might have been the alternative.
President's critics may be losing their mind about a victory for the president there, also wondering what they'll think about James Comey, who's been on the attack against the president, suddenly being on defense. Now it turns out the Inspector General at the Justice Department is investigating, yes, not the president, but James Comey for allegedly leaking classified information in some of those memos that he put together to try and lay the groundwork for special counsel Robert Mueller being named. Well, the president is now jumping on that investigation, tweeting overnight, James Comey illegally leaked classified documents to the press in order to generate a special counsel. Therefore, the special counsel was established based on an illegal act. Really? Does everybody know what that means?
And this is why it's important, because you remember James Comey testified in the Senate back in June 2017. He said he avoided using classified material for his memos so that they could be widely shared. And so if they then find that, I think they already have, that there is classified information in these memos, in the 7 total memos handed over to congressional committees, this is according to our own Catherine Herridge, 8 of the 15 pages have redactions under classified exceptions. This could ultimately be a big deal for James Comey. We had Alan Dershowitz on the show just last hour, and here's what he said about that.
I think that Comey has some vulnerability there, particularly if there is any classified material. And remember, Comey is a leaker. We know that he leaked information and laundered it through a law professor, which is certainly not something any former head of the FBI should do. The job of the FBI is to stop leaks, not to promote them.
Guys, what I can't wrap my head around, let's take a step back. James Comey, at some point, was a really good lawyer. You don't rise to the level of FBI director without being a really good lawyer. So why would he do the insane and inane things that he did, which, quite frankly, if you hear all the legal scholars talk about it, he could be in real serious trouble. It has to be because he's never faced a loss before in his life.
You know what? It might be Trump derangement syndrome.
And that's 100%.
And let me put a finer point on it, which is that James Comey may now have an Andrew McCabe problem, his number 2 at the FBI. They're at odds about who said what. But you know what? What is not at odds? That they both leaked. And now maybe they both lied about it. Let's not forget the big development this week. Andrew McCabe, the former number 2 at the FBI, now has criminal charges referred to the U.S. Attorney in Washington. Another big story, the DNC now suing the Trump campaign, suing Russia, and suing WikiLeaks over alleged election interference. I thought we had gotten past the last election. Apparently we hadn't.
Yeah, there are so many lawsuits going around. I honestly cannot keep it all straight. And yesterday might have been the most surprising of all, as you said, coming from the DNC, suing the Trump campaign, suing. How do you even sue a country? How do you sue
Some Democrats are
Russia?
saying it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so that's when you know there's an issue, is when you have Democrats saying, I don't know that we want to be part of this. So Trey Gowdy was on last night. Here's what he had to say about this DNC lawsuit.
It's thin as a wafer. I mean, the better suit is Bernie Sanders suing the DNC for conspiring to give her the nomination. That would be a very interesting lawsuit. But there is no evidence of collusion. I know Adam Schiff wants there to be. I know how desperately he wants there to be. But there's just no evidence of collusion. So if they want to sue Russia, that's fine. I actually would prefer the indictments that Mueller has against them as opposed to a civil suit. If they're upset with WikiLeaks, so am I. Julian Assange, so am I. But there's no evidence of collusion. So this is either a fundraising ploy or it's an effort to get people in civil court where you can depose them, so they can learn what Mueller's learning, and then they can use it for political purposes.
And that's a great point. Much of this will likely be dismissed, but the stuff that isn't will lead to civil discovery. On both sides, we do need to remember, but also the bar in a civil case is much lower than a criminal case, so something to keep in mind throughout this process that will lead to the discovery.
The president was tweeting yesterday that this could open the door to discovery, as you say, where the Republicans can try to finally get the DNC server and say, well, you know, was it hacked? Was it what? So there's a lot the DNC may not want out there.
This might just be the beginning of that one. Another
because we don't
lawsuit.
have enough news.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of news, we do have a lot of other headlines I want to bring you this morning, starting with a serious one, a Fox News alert. The manhunt for a cold-blooded killer intensifying at this hour after he took off right before a jury found him guilty of murder. This man, Verlaine Laguerre, walking away during a lunch break at a courthouse in Atlanta. Laguerre had been free on bond. He and another man were convicted of shooting a 19-year-old college football player 50 times. Yikes. Also, we may never know why a man shot and killed two sheriff's deputies at a restaurant in Florida. Authorities in Ocala say 58-year-old John Highnote casually walked inside, ambushing the deputies at point-blank range before taking his own life. Their boss, Sheriff Bobby Schultz, joining us earlier in the show, saying that the nationwide attack on our boys in blue needs to stop. Listen.
It's appalling when you have men and women willing to put their lives on the line for all of us that want to try to do good, do what they're supposed to be doing.
So well said. Well, Sergeant Noel Ramirez, a 7-year law enforcement veteran, leaves behind a wife and 2 kids. Deputy Sheriff Taylor Lindsay serving on the force for 3 years. It is so heartbreaking. Also this, the caravan packed with migrants hoping to get to the U.S. have reached the border. Some have already been turned away, while others are waiting for more backup to arrive to seek asylum. The caravan from Mexico initially consisted of 1,500 people, but most ditching that plan after President Trump called them out. The commander-in-chief also beefing up security, deploying the National Guard to protect the border. And those are some of your headlines.
Good stuff. All right, coming up, the liberal professor under fire for celebrating Barbara Bush's death, now sparking more outrage. Listen to this.
Even though a lot of the farmers now are Trump supporters and just stupid. And
I don't give a
What?
Wow. Whoa. And that's just some of it. More of that shocking new video just ahead.
Plus, James Comey's Media Blitz rolls on. What do the voters think? Are they fed up with Comey? We have the dials. You'll only see here.
He's tweeted at me probably 50 times. I've been gone for a year. I'm like a breakup he can't get over. He wakes up in the morning.
It was a busy week in politics, aren't they all at this point? And no one has a better idea of the pulse of our nation than our next guest. Lee Carter, a pollster and partner with Maslansky and Partners, and she put this week's biggest moments to the dial test. Great to have you back.
Great to be here.
We looked at 3 sound bites earlier. Now we're going to look at 3 different ones. We begin with Stephen Colbert's show. Mr. Comey was on there and describing President Trump as a crazy ex. Take a listen.
He's tweeted at me probably 50 times. I've been gone for a year. I'm like a breakup he can't get over. He wakes up in the morning. I'm out there living my best life. He wakes up in the morning and tweets at me.
So Comey's a comedian. What did people say?
He is. Republicans hated it, gave him an F. Independents gave it a C. Democrats an A. Democrats love this side of him. But I really want to focus on the independents this week. They are completely disenfranchised, don't know what to believe. The fact that he went on Colbert, made this kind of a joke, actually made him seem more self-serving to them and less credible.
And that's a great point, because the independents are the ones that win you or lose you elections, right?
And they're swinging, 12% of the polls. They're going back and forth because they don't know what to believe right now.
The trend continues with the mob boss comment, James Comey, likening President Trump to Tony Soprano.
There's a distinction between a friend of yours and a friend of ours. I felt this effort to make us all, and maybe this wasn't their intention, but it's the way it felt to me, to make us all amica nostra. We're all part of the messaging. We're all part of the effort. The boss is at the head of the table, and we're going to figure out together how to do this.
How strange is it for you to sit here and compare the president to a mob boss?
Very strange. And I don't do it lightly.
Well, that didn't even do well with Democrats.
It did not. You can see that was pretty flat line across the board. You saw Republicans gave it a D, Independents a C, and even Democrats there gave it a B minus. The problem here, even though this showed a line of sight into Comey's thinking, which made him, I think, a little bit more credible and did some good for him, made people have a complete lack of trust in the institutions that we hold so dear. And I believe that's really, really dangerous right now. That's not something that we want to have happen. We need to have trust in these institutions. We need checks and balances right now. And there's a lot of damage being done by a lot of people.
Because the brave men and women of the FBI are keeping this country safe from really bad forces. When you have the former top acting like this, you're 100% right. It is frightening.
And I just want to be clear that people do like a lot of the FBI agents. It's the leadership right now that they're not trusting.
Understood. From James Comey, let's go to the president's soundbite. The president saying he is willing to walk away from that big meeting coming up with Kim Jong-un. Take a listen.
I will be meeting with Kim Jong-un in the coming weeks to discuss the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. Hopefully that meeting will be a great success, and we're looking forward to it. It would be a tremendous thing for North Korea and a tremendous thing for the world. We've never been in a position like this with that regime. If I think that it's a meeting that is not going to be fruitful, we're not going to go. If the meeting, when I'm there, is not fruitful, I will respectfully leave the meeting.
Look, Trump won on tax reform, and he's winning again on his policies on North Korea. Republicans gave this an A+, Independents a B, and even Democrats gave it C. If this is a victory for us, if this North Korea deal is made, if he walks away, if he carries the strength that he's talking about, this is going to be a shining moment for the president, and that's something I would be worried about as a Democrat going into 2020.
And that sign, the C there, is a sign to the Democrats. You got to watch this obstreperation with the Mike Pompeo nomination.
No question.
Put him in there. All right, Lee, thank you very much. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo taking pandering to a new level, saying he's undocumented, daring ICE to deport him. Michelle Malkin has a reality check for the Democrat coming up. Plus, a body armor company taking the term Made in America to heart. I'll take you inside the RMA armament factory next. Why does Made in USA matter to you?
Pride. It's made in America. It's creating American jobs.
A final farewell to Barbara Bush. The beloved former First Lady will be laid to rest today during a private service.
And Adam Housley is live in Houston with the celebration of the Bush matriarch's incredible life. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning, guys. Yes, that's right. Yesterday was the public's ability to come through and pay their respects for about 12 hours from noon to midnight. They came through by the thousands to basically walk by the former First Lady. At one point, the moment that caught a lot of people's attention, of course, and a very emotional moment, was when her husband of 73 years, the former president, of course, came through with his daughter, Dorothy, not only to pay his respects to his wife, but at the same time to stop, which caught people by surprise, to stop and greet those who were coming through to see the former First Lady lie in repose. It was quite a moment as he shook their hands and thanked them for coming to see his wife. And in fact, those who did come through to see her and also have a chance to unexpectedly meet the president say it was quite a moment. Take a listen.
Barbara Bush was just the greatest woman in my opinion. She was our shining star.
Pay our respects to a woman who influenced many lives, myself, my wife, our family.
We just came out to support her and to let the Bush family know that, we're here for them and that we support them.
Now, the private services today, 1,500 guests are expected here at the invite-only funeral. St. Martin's is the nation's largest Episcopal church here in Houston. Melania Trump, Bill and Hillary Clinton, Barack and Michelle Obama also attending the event today. The eulogy will be Jeb Bush. We also know that longtime friend Susan Baker, wife of former Secretary of State James Baker, will be speaking. John Meacham, the historian who wrote the 2015 bio on Bush 41, will also be here and speaking as well. As for the burial site, it's in College Station at Texas A&M University, about an hour-and-a-half drive or so. That is also a private ceremony later on. So this is expected to take a couple of hours here, and then that procession will go to College Station for the final resting and the final moments of the former First Lady as she's laid to rest there. Back to you guys in New
Beautiful
York.
day ahead, Adam. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Adam.
And Lee Greenwood, we need to point out, is going to be on the show. As Adam just mentioned, he will be at the funeral as well. But he knew Barbara Bush for over 30 years, traveled the world with her. So I really look forward to getting his
Yeah, he's
insight
live
about
next
her.
hour, so you want to see that. Meanwhile, the body armor company RMA Armament has truly taken the term "Made in America" to heart.
All of the company's products are made right here in the U.S., from raw material to assembly.
President Trump even recognized their commitment to American ingenuity at the White House this past summer, and I got the chance to sit down with the founder and CEO, Blake Waldrop, a former Marine and cop, who gave me an inside look at his Iowa factory, and we even got the chance to put his armor to the test. Check it out.
Not bad, except the one that you missed up there. Sorry, you can see the damage. If that was a human torso without the armor, that's what damage it would inflict.
You live,
you die.
Why armor?
Because I lost a friend in Iraq on New Year's Day, 2005. Brian's death got me into making a better product. So we have a proven product that's significantly stronger than everybody else's in the United States. So it's a segmented strike face in ceramic that we use for the plates.
So basically what that means, if a bullet hits your armor, the rest of the armor still works. Hit somebody else's armor, that piece is more or less done if a second bullet were to fly.
Yes. So it spider webs the whole plate. With ours, it does not.
Now, we're not going to demonstrate on me because there are rules against that.
Yes.
But I get shot right now, almost any bullet, this thing's going to stop it.
It will stop it, yes.
President of the United States.
Yes.
Comes and singles you out. Tell me about that day.
It was like a complete whirlwind of experience. Again, we're pretty humble down here, and to be invited to the White House, it's an honor. It's a huge honor. The president comes in. He actually sized me up and down. He looked, because I'm a big guy, sized me up and down, and he gave me an extra hard handshake. And he stuck his hand out, so I gave it right back to him. I mean, the president's an alpha male. Being recognized by the man that sits in the Oval Office is tremendous. I don't think I'll be able to top that experience.
So this is where you make the product that saves lives. How do you deal with the responsibility that the armor that you sell is literally keeping people alive?
It's a huge responsibility. It's got to be perfect. We screw up here in the slightest fashion. In any stage of the manufacturing, somebody dies. We're in the business of saving lives.
And obviously, there's a reason you're doing this?
Yes, since law enforcement's our #1 customer base, me being a former cop, this is what we do. We back the blue, proudly.
What does it mean when you see these departments that have put their trust and faith in you?
They trust me with their lives. It's an honor, it's an achievement, and it's also humbling, all wrapped into one.
The name RMA, everybody thinks that has something to do with being tough and being imposing. It's actually the most cute and adorable story.
So my girls, they soften your heart. So Renee, Megan, Alexis, RMA. It was very, very simple.
You could probably make your product way cheaper overseas and make a much bigger profit. Why does Made in USA matter to you?
Pride. It's made in America. It's creating American jobs. Yeah, we could probably make a ton more money if we had it. If we took even a plant across the southern border. But it's not about making money, it's about pride. So when I'm dead and gone, I want to be remembered for the high quality product that we built here and the amount of people that are alive today because of that product.
Just a great guy, a great story. And I want to look at the shield that we actually shot. And you can see I hit it right there, so not too bad. Sam, our producer, who was on this trip with me for an entire week, God bless that woman. She shot this and this, so I wanted to point that out. There you go, Sam. You won. You hit 2. But look, here's what it does. Obviously, pops out. The bullet doesn't go through. Contains the bullet, so it saves the life.
That's
amazing company.
And I love the point you made. If you could make it so much cheaper overseas, but you still choose to stay right here in the U.S.
I bet she's not a pyromaniac after spending a week with you.
No, she's
Sam,
probably tired of you. Yeah.
She went to Ireland.
Keep sending us in if you're a fan of Todd, friends at FoxNews.com. All right, coming up on the show, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Did you see this? He says that he should be deported.
Wait, what?
Who? Huh?
I'm undocumented. You want to deport an undocumented person? Start with me, because I'm an undocumented person.
Wow, and there is more where that came from. Michelle Malkin is here to react. You don't want to miss that next.
And America's weighed in. Apparently, this is unconfirmed. There are more than 6 pyromaniacs out there. We're reading your emails. You're not going to believe
I cannot wait for this.
These are delicious.
Are we up to 12 yet?
They're about 14. Yeah, I mean, it's basically our shot of the day, right?
Shot of the day, shot of the morning. So this group right here, we call them the Pyromaniacs. They are in Jupiter, Florida. And Todd is very proud because it is a group of people that aren't related to him, that are fans of Todd Pyro. So that got us talking this morning. Are there more Pyromaniacs in this world?
And the goal is to get to 12.
Our goal is, so we're at 5.
Doesn't, yeah.
I can't get over that they picked the song Bad Romance. That's funny.
What does that say about you, Todd?
So Amy writes in, I'm a fan who wants a headshot too, but I want mine with a signature.
Amy, you got it.
I love that. All right, Jennifer writing in, I'm a middle-aged woman from Virginia who enjoys Todd's dry sense of humor and humility.
Humility?
Interviews in diners.
There's one. At least there's one.
Well, wait, okay, this one I have to read from Cindy. Okay, I'm a fan. I admit it.
Sweet, we're up to 8 now.
So begrudgingly. Like, I guess so, whatever. He's going to be there, whatever. Fan,
I have
you're
a
fan
friend,
of.
Lee. He's in Lake Worth, Florida. He just texted me, get me 50 Ed Henry pics. He owns a restaurant called Benny's on the Beach. He says he'll hold them all up. So I might try to get him that photo
so there's a competition
by
now?
10 a.m. Eastern. Jupiter is like 20 miles from Lake
So
Worth.
it's Jupiter versus Lake Worth here on the show.
That's right.
Let's make it happen. Somebody who we all love, we all admire. She's awesome.
I don't know
Michelle
if she's
Malkin.
a fan of yours, though.
I don't know, but we're a fan of hers. That's all we need
Michelle
to know.
Malkin.
A host of Michelle Malkin Investigates on CRTV. We got a lot to talk about. None of this involves my headshot. Let's go to the first topic. Democratic National Committee with a major lawsuit against everybody in the room here. We got Dave, our stage manager. We're probably included in the lawsuit as well. DNC Chair Tom Perez had this to say on this quote-unquote suit. Take a listen.
We want to send a very, very clear signal. If you want to mess with elections here, there are going to be consequences. We are raising the cost of your interference. We know that this administration is Putin's poodle, and so they're not going to do anything. So we will continue to act. If you want to do that, if you're going to punch us, we're going to punch back. And that's what this lawsuit is about. We are protecting our democracy. When you go after the right to vote, when you go after the institution of elections, that is the essence of our democracy. So this wasn't simply an attack on the DNC. This was an attack on our democracy.
What's your reaction to this use of judicial resources?
Yeah, I think this lawsuit is a very cynically and expediently timed distraction squirrel. If it was any animal, it would be a squirrel. You look somewhere else. And it is a litigation that is designed to take attention away from the DNC's own culpability. It is a kitchen sink lawsuit. It's not just that everybody and their mother and the stage manager is thrown into it, but every type of charge is thrown into there as well. I mean, they cite everything from computer fraud and abuse to RICO laws and statutes and the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. I think that there are far more dangerous actions and inaction that the DNC has been involved in with regard to meddling by foreign hackers. How about the Awan brothers scandal, which has gotten so little attention from the mainstream media? Kudos to Luke Rosiak at the Daily Caller, who has single-handedly helped expose this. They had a hearing on it last week, and of course the DNC has been silent. I myself had contacted several of the offices of House Democrats who had employed those people, and none of them would get back to me on basic questions, including how these people got here in the first place. And that is what this kind of lawsuit intends to distract from.
All right, well, take a listen to Governor Cuomo, because he's been saying a lot of things as of lately. He now knows what it's like, Michelle, to be a woman, for example. Take a listen to this.
I'm an Italian American. I came from poor Italian Americans who came here. You know what they called Italian Americans? Back in the day, they called them WAPs. You know what WAP stood for? Without papers. I'm undocumented. You want to deport an undocumented person? Start with me, because I'm an undocumented person.
You know what this reminds me of, Michelle? Remember that moment during the campaign when Hillary Clinton was on the radio show and she was trying to relate to the African-American community? She talked about carrying hot sauce in her purse wherever she went. The inauthenticity. I mean, that moment reminded me so much of some of those times on the campaign trail for Hillary.
Yeah, that's actually a good memory, Abby.
Oh, I didn't forget it.
I remember, yes, and I remember also when Hillary Clinton and some of these other Democrats, of course, would adopt the vernacular and try to imitate what they thought was an authentic accent. So I think that might be the next thing that we're going to see from Governor Cuomo. I mean, he's identified himself, remember, as a Muslim, a Jew, a gay, a woman, and now undocumented. I think that he will soon be identifying himself as unemployed if he keeps up
Is he
this
worried, though?
identity
Because,
politics radicalism.
Of course, Cynthia Nixon from Sex and the City is running for governor, right? And she has made the rounds
Yes.
over the past few years, meeting with progressives, raising a lot of money. Is this a sign that he's concerned about her?
Possibly, but I don't understand how pandering even more to the left and then essentially inviting a backlash because he's such a phony. I mean, he's a laughingstock left, right, and center in New York now. But there's a serious point I want to make here, too, because he's proclaiming himself undocumented at the very time that the consequences of illegal immigration are becoming very obvious to people, regardless of their partisanship. He's doing this at a time when MS-13 has just put out hit and assassination orders on every cop in New York. I mean, it is so out of touch, and it shows you the moral and ideological bankruptcy, not just of the governor of New York, but the entire Democrat Party.
If he starts saying he wants to identify the governor with Miranda or Carrie, what were the characters on Sex and the
Miranda,
City?
Samantha,
Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yeah. Charlotte.
Yes.
Charlotte.
Come on, guys.
And
Yeah.
certainly not Mr. Big, though. He wouldn't want to relate to Mr. Big.
Staying away from that. Rick Reich, oh, thank you, Michelle. Rick Reich
this morning.
is doing our weather, and you
Yes, I
better
am.
warm up at some
Hey,
point.
Rick,
Otherwise,
that's
That's what I do,
revolt.
Todd.
Any relief coming?
No. Hey, how's spring treating you all?
Birthday.
Wow. Okay, that was much better response I got about spring than I thought I was going to get. Happy 13?
Yep.
Wow. Where are you from?
Maryland.
Maryland. And did you come here for your birthday?
Yep, I did.
Really? This is amazing. Okay, what do you want? Think about what you want for your birthday. We're gonna come back to you and figure out what it is. See if we can help. Take a look at the weather map. Show you what's going on. No, I mean it's still chilly out there, especially across the northern tier. Down across the south, not that bad. Atlanta 47. Guess what? More rain coming for you this weekend. Right now, the eastern half of the country looking great. We have one big storm that's right across the central part of the country right now. Snow on the backside of it. Still snow April 21st. Still talking about snow. We've got rain right there across the central part of the country. We have drought as well. That's why we saw those fires this week. And unfortunately, over the next few days, we're going to get lots of rain across the southeast, not where we have the drought going on. This is what we look throughout, like for Saturday, Sunday, into Monday. Some spots probably up to about 5 inches of rain, and that's going to cause a little bit of localized flooding. So unfortunately, that's there. All right, what do you want for your birthday? You had all this time.
I just want to go to Nintendo New York.
Oh, all right. We can do that. Can be arranged. You're very, very close. All right. Happy birthday.
Just
Enjoy.
down the street over there in Rock Center.
I
He'll
love
get
that.
there.
For boys, it's Legos. For girls, it's the American Girl doll store. Love that, Rick.
Thanks, Rick. All right, North Korea suspending its nuclear missile program. Is the pause proof that President Trump's tough rhetoric is working?
Plus, moments ago, President Trump, yes, unleashing on Twitter, this time, all about the story involving his lawyer, Michael Cohen. You're going to want to see this. We're going to ask White House Senior Advisor for Strategic Communications, Mercedes Schlapp, what's going on here? What's the legal story?
Welcome back. Well, we have been talking about it all morning long. North Korea putting its nuclear missile testing on hold. Is this North Korea pause proof that the president's rhetoric might be working? Here to debate, Morgan Ortagus, who served in the State Department under President George W. Bush, and David Tafuri is a former policy advisor to the Obama campaign. Great to have you both here. Looking forward to your take on this news that has been breaking over the past 12 hours. Morgan, get your thoughts, just your reaction. Is this a sign that the tough rhetoric and engagement the president has often been criticized for over the past few months is working?
Well, I don't think it's only the tough rhetoric. It's also the unprecedented economic sanctions that the Trump administration pursued at the United Nations. So I think it's a combination of all of these. I think one thing that we should all remember is that Kim Jong-un is a liar and a cheat, right? This is not a stable regime. So we have to do what President Reagan said, which is trust but verify. I think that it feels different since going back to the Clinton administration. We've had these talks every few years with North Korea. They make tons of promises and then they renege on those promises, and then they start launching missiles again. So it's going to take a while to see if this is going to work in the long term, if they are going to actually denuclearize. But I think that it feels different this time. It feels like we've actually made some unprecedented diplomatic progress so far. And I think the big meeting with South Korea and North Korea next week could lead to the end, official end of the North Korean war.
Right. David, you worked under the Obama administration. I have no doubt you have your own thoughts about this. Does President Trump deserve any credit here?
This is very encouraging progress. And yes, I think Trump and Pompeo deserve to be congratulated. However, it's not yet time for a victory party. Here's why. And the North Korean leader has agreed to pause, but he's done pauses before in nuclear testing. The North Korea tested in 2006. They paused for 3 years. They tested again in 2009. They paused for 4 years. They tested again in 2013. And then 3 years later, they started testing again in 2016 and 2017. So we have a history of pauses. However, this is very encouraging, in particular because he has said he's going to halt not just the nuclear testing, but also the long-range ICBM missiles. But there's also things he has not said. He has not said he's going to halt mid-range missiles. Those are the types of missiles that can hit South Korea and Japan, our allies. Moreover, we don't know yet what the U.S. has agreed to give up. We've certainly given up something to North Korea. In particular, North Korea wants us to take our troops off the Korean peninsula. I hope we have not given any assurances of that yet. So we have to wait to find out what the U.S. is going to give in return for the North Korean leader to make these compromises for us.
Yeah, still more to come. Morgan, quickly, is this an example of when diplomacy can be a good thing?
It can only be, well, diplomacy is always good, but it can only be effective, Abby, whenever you have the real credible threat of force. Or these rogue regimes realize that they're dealing with someone who's not going to tolerate their behavior. And I think that David made a great point bringing up Pompeo, and this is why he should be confirmed immediately. The president sent him over. So when you look at the president's rhetoric, when you look at the unprecedented economic sanctions, and you look at the success of Pompeo, it's why the president needs a Secretary of State in place and why he should be confirmed immediately.
All right, Morgan, Dave, we're going to have to leave it right there. Thank you both for being with us this morning. Such an important topic. All right, still to come on the show, Mercedes Schlapp, Dan Bongino, Lee Greenwood, looking so forward to hear what he has to say, and Geraldo Rivera and Dana Perino. We've got a big hour still to go live on Fox and Friends. Plus, the weather is warming up. Is it really? But your lawn, is it ready to go for that warm weather? Rick and Todd are checking out some of the top mowers out on our plaza this morning. That is coming up next. You don't want to miss it.
Till the sun comes up,
All right, Todd, you know what they wrote in the script? Yeah. That the weather is warming up.
Incorrect.
Already, we have some fake news here in our script here. Supposedly, the weather's warming up at least somewhere, but is your backyard ready for the summer months?
Yeah, here with some top mowers to get your grass in tip-top shape. Paul Hope, senior home and garden editor for Consumer Reports. One, we hope that the weather improves, but when it does, what do we got to make it manageable on our lawns?
So what we've got here are a small sampling of the 127 lawnmowers we have in our ratings at Consumer Reports. Wow. So to walk you through them, this is one of our top-rated mowers. It's a Honda. It's called a self-propelled mower. So what that means is it's actually got powered wheels. You don't have to push it and drag it across your lawn. It'll automatically accelerate, and you just sort of keep pace with it.
It's like a vacuum cleaner that kind of like
exactly
helps it
that moves its
How
way
what
down
about
the
something
yard.
like that go for?
That goes for the mid-600s, but it's really decked out with features. It's got a washout port. You can clean the deck and blades with a garden hose.
What about the Toro?
The Toro is the same kind of mower. It's also self-propelled, and this one has a really unique feature. It can actually be stored on its side upright without gas or oil spilling out of it.
Oh, wow.
So if you're tight on space in the garage, you can just collapse it down, put it away.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
It is. So big new trend in lawn mowers has been electrics. This Black & Decker is actually an electric mower. It's $400. It's a little bit more money than a lot of lawn mowers, but over time you're going to pay for it with savings in gas.
Does this like hold a charge electric? Or do you have to have an extension cord?
No, this actually holds a charge. So this comes with 2 batteries.
I got your question.
You charge it. Well, it is true that there were once upon a time plug-in electric mowers.
Can I be a child and hop in
Yes.
this thing now again?
So this is what everybody dreams
Of
about.
course,
So if
this
you've
is
got
the
a
dream.
half acre of grass or more, you really want a riding mower. John Deere routinely does extremely well in our tests, and in fact is one of the most reliable brands.
I mean, forever and ever.
Forever and ever.
But this one's a little pricey, $3,200.
At $3,200, it's a lot of money. You really want to have a serious yard, be very serious about yard care before you spend that much, obviously.
This looks serious. This is like the convertible one.
This is pretty serious too. So this is like the convertible or the sports car of lawn mowers. This is called the Toro Time Cutter, and it's a ZTR, which stands for zero turn radius. You actually control the mower with these 2 paddles instead of a steering wheel. It can turn in place, it can zip around your yard. It really feels like you're going down.
Do you know anything about snowblowers? Because we still have a lot of people who are using those. instead of this.
I know. So
that'll be the next segment. Sorry to do that to you.
That's all right. That's all right.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, Paul.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Absolutely, guys.
Still ahead, Mercedes, Schlapp, Dan Bongino, Lee Greenwood, Geraldo Rivera, and of course, Dana Perino live from the Barbara Bush funeral. All here. Coming up next.